Welcome to the Good Divorce Show, where we can help you learn how to navigate the journey of divorce with less conflict, less debt, and equip you not to just get divorced, but also learn how to be divorced. Your host, certified divorce coach Karen McNenny, shares her wealth of knowledge, gets advice from other relationship experts, and interviews couples who learn how to have a good divorce, so you can too. Now here's your host, Karen.
Hi. Thanks so much for tuning back into the Good Divorce Show. I am Karen McNenny, your Good Divorce Coach, and I cannot believe it is season 3. When I was first invited to do a podcast, I was actually asked to do a business podcast because that's where I've spent the bulk of my career, helping humans get along better at work. And this passion project of mine, and now helping families getting along better in their divorces, has really taken hold of me. And I am delighted that we have a growing audience and following here on the Good Divorce Show. As you know, if you have tuned in before, or if you are new to the Good Divorce family, this is a safe space to explore the possibilities and options if you are someone who is considering divorce. Maybe you are right in the heat of it, and maybe it's after the divorce is finalized and you're still trying to figure out how to be a divorced family, or just reinventing yourself in this new world beyond the identity you had as a married person or as a full-time parent. Well, we will be interviewing all sorts of experts that touch on tax advantages and considerations as you move through divorce or post-divorce. We will talk to real estate agents so you can better consider what it's going to be like when you refinance or move into your own home. Of course, there will be mental health professionals and legal professionals, but maybe dearest to my heart is when we have folks just like you, listeners, who come onto the show to talk about their own good divorce, and that will always be part of my guest list. We will have step siblings on the show this year who will talk about, the bonus relationships that came as a result of divorce. So often we are always, if you will, painting a picture of divorce as only despair and destructive, and, it's going to be nothing but trouble. But the reality is that for some of us, there can be wonderful benefits as a result of divorce. In fact, I would even suggest that divorce exists to improve the primary relationship between two people, particularly if you're parents. And this is a big paradigm shift, right? We only typically see divorce as one of those things that is a signal of failure and the end of a family and the destruction of a relationship that once started as a love story. I'm a big believer that the threads of the family and the love story that can exist even beyond divorce, and in many cases, maybe even better, because honestly, if you are facing divorce in the midst of it or even considering it, that is an indication that something is not working well. Well, don't wait too long. I don't think we have to burn down the house and put together a whole list for the judge and jury of society, ourselves, or our families to justify that exit. Of course, we want to be thoughtful, but many of us, we know our truth long before we speak it. We dance around this topic of divorce. We do not want it to be the truth. I get it. I was there. I was so afraid of becoming an enemy with the father of my children. The possibility that I might not see my children at all, right? We go to the very ends of the earth as we consider worst case scenario. But when you choose a good divorce path, well, you don't have to be enemies. You don't have to destroy the family. The family carries on. And that's why I invite couples post-divorce to come talk about their good divorce experience, what they learned, what they would say to you, our listeners who are considering or navigating your own divorce experience. We sometimes have parent-child relationships, children of divorce, talking to their parents about what they remember, what was beneficial, what their parents did that really meant a lot to them that maybe was unconscious that you now can make intentional in your own journey. In fact, my daughter in season 1 came on the show at age 18 after she had launched to college to come back and tell me a few things about her divorce experience. It was a magical conversation. And now I have a son who is 18 and preparing to graduate from high school and launch into his young adult life. And, maybe I'll have his sister, who is a journalism major at the University of Montana. Maybe she'll come back and interview her brother, and the two of them together can discuss the ups and downs of being a part of a family that lives across 2 homes. But no mistake, we are one family. And even as our children enter young adulthood, well, their father and I, we talk just as often as when they were 8 years old as when they were 18. Okay, maybe a little bit less, but the topics are still very important as we help launch our children. I will be coming to you throughout the season here on Coffee Talk. Well, I actually don't drink coffee, so we call it Tea Time with Karen. And I went to graduate school in London, and I learned from the Europeans, there's always time to put the kettle on and have a cup of tea. And that's my time to sit down with you like this and just speak heart to heart from my own experiences, the work that I do with clients. Yeah, I'm talking to families going through divorce all the time. It's not just this podcast. I'm in the trenches. I meet couples, ideally, the moment that they decide we are going to take the off ramp and we are going to dissolve our marriage and restructure our family. And that's really what's going on. It's not an end to the family. In fact, it's not even into the relationship, just the marriage. So I help folks renovate. And that means we're going to consider our communication plan. That's right. I will become your communication director and sometimes your ghostwriter, where we are going to consider how to have that hard conversation with the kids. And not only what we're going to say, but where we say it, when we say it. You can look back into season 2 and find an entire tea time chat with me around that topic. We will also consider your larger circle of support and what it is that you need as you reinvent yourself in a world that you never anticipated living in. Because I don't know about you, but I didn't get married with the plan of getting divorced. But sometimes that's where we end up. And many of us end up there. I would even go as far to say that as a society, we are just plain awkward in knowing how to help divorced families. And to the extreme, we're neglectful. I was recently telling a friend, if my husband had died, my friends would have rallied. They would have put together a meal train for me, and I would have had a casserole on my front porch every other day. But instead, there wasn't a death of a person. There was the death of a marriage. And most of us don't know how to support those folks. Honestly, I would have given anything for a meal train and a casserole any day of the week. I still feel that way. Cook for your friends. Show up on their front porch. Just show up for each other. I also help couples navigate their real estate woes. So we're going to have some real estate professionals on the show. Maybe you are one of those fortunate families who refinanced at the lowest interest rates at 2 or 3%, and now you might be facing 6 or 7% in a refinance, and then somebody can't afford the home anymore who wants to stay in the family home. What do we do? How do we live under one roof for a temporary amount of time? We talk about on-duty and off-duty schedules, how we can create a little more space while we're still cohabitating. Maybe we turn towards a nesting arrangement for our family. I'm going to bring in some folks this season to talk about nesting, which means the children stay in one place and the parents come and go. How did they approach that? How did they finance it? What was the third home, if you will, the other location where the parents live? And I also like to hear just from those individuals who maybe don't sit here with their spouse, but they are willing to talk about the dark days of divorce and when they found the light. Because I'm here to remind you, the pain, the suffering, the darkness that you might be experiencing right now, it is temporary. It's not permanent. Nothing is permanent, including our darkest days. So that's when we'll bring some mental health professionals on the show to help you think about what I need to do to lift up my spirits, to take care of myself, and to begin that reinvention process. I hope that if you know someone in your own circle who has been supportive to you, maybe someone that you admire and they had a good divorce experience, well, invite them to be a guest on the show. You can go right over to my website, thegooddivorcecoach.com or thegooddivorceshow.com, or just Google The Good Divorce. You're going to find me and this community. If I am teaching classes, if I am having support groups, we'll be sure to let you know about that. And again, if you know someone who would be a great guest, send them to the website. There's a form right on the podcast page where they can contact me and we'll get them on the show to tell their own story. This is the place to be. If you are looking for a different pathway, if you're facing divorce, a lawyer does not have to be your first phone call. We might have to eventually call them, but with my clients, it's usually 1 to 2 months into the process. Because in the good divorce experience, we always emphasize family before finances. Don't start with dividing the assets. Let's first look at how your children are going to divide their time between 2 homes and amongst 2 parents. And for those of you who might be tuning in and you're like, well, I'm not a parent. We didn't have children together. Thank goodness, right? You might feel like you dodged a bullet on that one. Well, this also is a place for you where you can learn about financial investing post-divorce, division of assets, again, real estate, reinvention, and a way to know that you've heard me say it before and you'll hear it each and every week as we tune in. Everything will be okay in the end. And if it's not okay, it's not the end. So please join me this season as I guide you through your own good divorce experience, because it actually is one of your options. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Karen McNenny, your good divorce coach.
Thanks for listening. Do you have questions or thoughts about this week's episode? Let us know by following the Good Divorce Coach on Facebook and Instagram at Good Divorce Coach, and leave a comment. And be sure to tune in every Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific or listen anytime wherever you get your podcasts.